Hello and welcome to A Cat in the Garden. Today we're going to be talking about some of my favorite sport variegation finds. If you haven't heard of that term before, sport variegation is variegation that appears on a plant that isn't supposed to be variegated really, or a new type of variegation on a plant that hasn't really been classified yet. And it has become, I would say in the past year, it's become pretty popular in the plant community to go sport hunting, specifically for alocasias. So in this video, you're mostly going to see alocasias. That's mostly what I've found. And this is going to be everything that I have that is still alive. There are a few that have perished. Looking at you, variegated nebulas, I found 2 and they have sadly passed away. And I did have one that reverted. It was an Alocasia cucullata, but everything else has pretty much stayed variegated. So let me show you the first thing. It's gonna be my philodendron carnival. This is actually 1 out of 2 that I have. This one I keep in leca, and the rest are over there with my regular philodendron Brazil. That's how I found it, and I'm honestly too lazy to repot it. But the philodendron carnival is characterized by these silver centers in a Brazil. So this silvery green right here, a normal Brazil isn't going to have, maybe 1 or 2 leaves will have this, but this has to be in the center for it to be characterized as a Brazil, or as a carnival, excuse me. So that's one of them. This one is the more recent one that I found. I have chopped it, I'm propagating it currently, and it's decided to grow out the back here. This leaf that it put out is pretty interesting. Mostly yellow, but it does have silver in the center, so still a carnival. This one I really like. It grows just like a Brazil or a heartleaf, super easygoing plant. And I highly recommend if you're in a big box store to look around for this one. I'm gonna get the big ones out of the way next. So this is my variegated regal shield. This one has yellow variegation. I have mostly seen on the internet ones with yellow. It kind of went away for a few of the leaves, but the newest leaf is this one, and it has some variegation up top here. This one I found, this one is one of my most recent sport finds. It's kind of wonky, so I have it leaning on a trellis, but haven't found any corms yet. That one doesn't have variegation. So we're just seeing what it does, but I'm hoping I get more variation like this leaf in the future. Next I have this variegated Yucatan princess. This is my most recent sport find. I found it in Austin, and you can see the stems here are striped. They're not supposed to have this white striping on them. And then this variegation is pretty unique. It's actually on the backs of the leaves. Let me see if I can show you. Yeah. You can see that. It's kind of green, where normally the back of the leaves are supposed to be purple. And it's a little bit of a speckly pattern on there. Let me get a little closer. So that's what this is. I do have this one and the regal shield living outside since they're so big, and I do sometimes have issues with alocasias. And I'm just kind of gonna see what it does with the high light. I have not checked this one for corms yet, but that is on my to-do list. Next, I'm gonna show you this little guy. Now this one's probably gonna be hard to pick up on camera, but this is a variegated silver dragon. The mother plant came from Costa Farms, and honestly, it was not doing well. It died on me really quickly because it was just completely waterlogged in their peat moss. Don't even get me started on that. But I got some corms, and I got a couple of baby silver dragons from it. And they're not the highest variegation. It's mostly just little bits of speckles on the leaf, but I have it in super highlight, and I'm gonna see what it does. Next, I have show you two of these. These are my variegated purple swords. So this is one. I have a bunch of these actually. I have quite a few, but these are two of the better looking ones. So I found a couple of mother plants near San Antonio after I first moved here, and I propagated them immediately with the corms, and the corms honestly produced way better looking plants than the mothers themselves, so I'm really excited about that. I keep these in super high light because the variegation does fade to green. It comes in yellow, fades to green. So the mother plants, the variegation, since they weren't in high light, it kind of just faded away. Like it's still there, but because it's not in bright light, you can't see it as well. So I'm really hopeful for these to become my mother plants in the future, and we'll just get babies from them and hopefully they'll have better variegation too. Next, I want to show you this one is probably one of my favorites that I've ever found. The purple swords one too, but this is my variegated alocasia black velvet. And this one has pink variegation. There's lots of different types of variegation on black velvet specifically. And a lot of the variegated leaves that came with dyed, this one has a couple of little flecks on it. And there's been less and less. This is the newest leaf and I honestly don't think it has anything, but I have gotten quite a few corms from it. There's a little corm in there. And I want to show you, I kept two. I have gotten rid of the rest, but I want to show you what these have done. Get this out of the way. So they are pretty highly variegated. Not super high. I've seen better ones out there, but in terms of coming from a low variegation mother plant, this one specifically is doing really well. I have a smaller one right here that is not as variegated, but it does have a couple little splotches on each leaf, so I am hopeful for it because this one has just been getting better and better with each leaf. So that one's definitely a favorite for me. And lastly, I have this one. This one is a pothos. I believe it came from an Enjoy pothos. So this one I'm just calling a green on green Enjoy. This is different from my global green. I do have a global green, and the global green has wider leaves almost like a mandula, and the variegation pattern is very different. This one has the exact same variegation pattern as an Enjoy. Here's a better look at it. So this one's pretty fun. I haven't seen a ton of these out there, and I did buy it in a big basket of Enjoy and just separated the pieces that were the kind of sport variegation that I wanted to watch. Here's another leaf you can see that looks pretty well variegated. And I'm just kind of keeping an eye on it. It seems to be pretty stable. It's grown quite a bit since I had it. And I haven't really seen too many other people on the internet with these. I do look a lot, like when I find something that's sport variegated, I do like to check online to see, is this something that's usually stable? Is this something a lot of people have? Is this something that nobody's heard of before? I think I've seen one other person with this specifically. There are quite a lot of people with the variegated black velvets. There are a few people that have the Yucatan Princess. Not a lot of people with the Regal Shield or the Purple Sword, though I have seen more of the Purple Sword online. And so I just like to do the research, so I make sure when I take something home, if I see something that just has variegation on one leaf, which is really common with alocasias, you'll just see it on one leaf and it'll be a little splotch and it's nothing on the stem. I wouldn't recommend taking that home because that's more than likely not going to continue and it's not going to pass on to the babies through the corms. So I like to find something like this, that it's got it on every leaf. The carnival, which you can see it's not just on one leaf, it's on all of the leaves on the stem. And with the alocasias, I really like to see it on at least 2 or 3 leaves. Now the black velvet here, it might be reverting in terms of the foliage here, but with alocasias, it is genetic, the variegation. So if I really wanted to, I could chop this all the way back to the rhizome and it might actually sprout with more leaves like this, because the corms that I keep harvesting, they're still variegated. The smaller one that I showed you, that one is actually one of the more recent ones that I harvested from this plant, and it still has variegation. I don't really want to chop this back just because this is the largest black velvet I have, and I do think it's really cute. Plus I did keep 2 variegated corms from it. So I'm just gonna let this one keep doing its thing. It's pretty happy. It's got quite a few leaves, and I'm just gonna let it hang out. Obviously when this leaf goes, this is the oldest leaf now, I'll be pretty sad, but I'm not mad. I do still have the baby plants for it. So that's it for this video. Let me know which one of my sport variegated plants was your favorite, and let me know if you've ever found a sport variegated plant. Typically I find them at big box stores, but you can find them at local nurseries as well. And if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.